State of Tech, the European edition, Monday, April 20, 2026. I'm Samantha Lawrence.
And I'm Bob Russell. Today, the cybersecurity nightmare that is AI agents going rogue. OpenAI launches a science model called GPT-Rosalind while its leadership walks out the door. Investors getting cold feet about AI valuations. Accenture and Microsoft building an agentic factory in Germany. SK Hynix starts cranking out memory chips for NVIDIA's next big AI platform. And Oreo's parent company is hiring someone to talk to shopping robots. Let's start with the agents.
So, Bob, this is the story that cybersecurity people have been whispering about for months, and now it's out in the open. A new study called Agents of Chaos has identified a dozen genuinely dangerous actions that AI agents can perform. We're talking data exfiltration, database deletion, the kind of stuff that used to require a malicious employee with a grudge.
And the scale is what makes it scary. The study looked at agents built on systems like OpenClaw, which now has over 3 million users worldwide. 3 million. That's not a niche tool anymore. And these aren't chatbots that give you a polite answer. These are agents that take action. They click buttons, they send emails, they move money, they delete things.
Yazid Akadiri, a principal solutions architect at Elastic France, was quoted in the piece, and he really drives the point home. The threat profile changes completely once you go from conversational AI to agentic AI. A chatbot can say something wrong. An agent can do something wrong.
And hackers are already circling. Cybersecurity firms are expecting these agents to become prime targets, because if you can hijack an agent, you don't just steal data, you inherit its permissions. You become the employee. You become the trusted system.
Which raises an uncomfortable question. How many European companies have actually audited what their AI agents are allowed to do?
Probably very few. And that's the problem. Everyone's rushing to deploy because productivity gains are real, but nobody's stopping to ask what happens when the agent gets tricked.
This is important because traditional cybersecurity assumes either a human user or a predictable script. Agents are neither. They improvise, they reason, and they can be manipulated through prompt injection in ways a firewall can't catch.
And regulators are going to notice. The EU's AI Act already flags high-risk systems, but agentic AI is a moving target. Today's helpful assistant is tomorrow's attack vector.
For European companies, this means the cybersecurity budget conversation just got more complicated. You're not just protecting endpoints anymore. You're protecting the decision-making of software that acts on your behalf.
And for regulators, there's a real question about liability. If my AI agent deletes a client's database, who's responsible? Me? The vendor? The model provider? European law is going to have to answer that quickly because the agents are already deployed.
My advice to listeners? Ask your IT team today what agents are running in your organization and what they can touch. You might be surprised.
Or horrified.
Moving on. OpenAI has launched GPT-Rosalind, named after Rosalind Franklin, I assume. Their first frontier model built specifically for scientific research. Biology, drug discovery, hypothesis generation. The pitch is that it can analyze complex scientific data and help researchers make discoveries faster.
Great name, rough timing. Because on the same day they announced this, 3 senior figures walked out, including Kevin Weil, the VP of OpenAI for Science. And the OpenAI for Science division is being decentralized, which is corporate speak for, we're breaking it up.
So the question is GPT-Rosalind a mature product or a parting gift? Because when you lose the VP and 2 other senior leaders at the moment of launch, something's going on behind the scenes.
Could be strategy disagreement, could be the usual Silicon Valley churn, could be that the science division wasn't generating the revenue OpenAI needs to justify its valuation. We don't know yet. But the optics are not great.
The capabilities, though, sound genuinely useful. If this model can accelerate drug discovery even by a few months per project, that's enormous value for pharma.
The bottom line is that specialized scientific models are where the real economic value of AI might live. Not writing emails, discovering molecules. And OpenAI clearly wants a seat at that table.
But specialized science requires sustained commitment. Researchers don't want to adopt a tool that might be abandoned in 18 months.
European pharma, think Novartis, Sanofi, Bayer, could benefit enormously from a tool like this. Drug discovery is expensive and slow. Anything that speeds it up is welcome.
But European research institutions also value stability and long-term partnerships. Watching the science division get dismantled on launch day is not reassuring if you're a university looking to commit.
And let's not forget, Europe has its own AI ambitions in science. Mistral, DeepMind's London operation, various academic consortiums. GPT-Rosalind might actually accelerate European alternatives because labs will hedge.
Quick interruption. If you listen to the State of Tech regularly, hit that like button and subscribe. That way, you'll never miss an episode. Okay, moving on.
Our third story today, investors are getting nervous. A webinar hosted by Lombard Odier, the Swiss private bank, dug into whether current AI valuations are actually supported by earnings or whether we're watching a bubble inflate in slow motion.
And the answer is nuanced, which is never what investors want. On one hand, unlike the dot-com era, today's tech earnings are broadly tracking price increases. These companies actually make money. On the other hand, market concentration is extreme. A handful of hyperscalers driving most of the gains.
The key questions the webinar raised. Is AI adoption actually happening at the rate valuations imply? Is the capital expenditure, billions on data centers, chips, power, sustainable? And is there enough energy to keep feeding these models?
That last one is really important, because you can print money. You cannot print electricity. And AI data centers are consuming power at rates that are straining grids.
And funding quality matters too. A lot of AI investment is circular. NVIDIA invests in startups that buy NVIDIA chips. That's not inherently bad, but it creates fragility.
Key takeaway. The Magnificent Seven, or whatever we're calling them now, represent such a huge share of global indices that even pension funds in Europe that have never touched a tech stock directly are exposed.
And if valuations reset, it's not just Silicon Valley that feels it, it's everyone with a retirement account.
The fact that Lombard Odier is hosting this conversation is telling. European finance is historically more conservative than American, and they're skeptical by nature.
And European regulators have to think about systemic risk. If a handful of U.S. hyperscalers dominate AI infrastructure that European companies depend on, that's not just a financial risk, it's a sovereignty risk.
Which is part of why you see the EU pushing for European cloud, European chips, European models. Not because they'll necessarily win, but because depending entirely on someone else's bubble is dangerous.
The smart money is watching earnings calls this quarter very carefully.
Next up, Accenture, Avanade, and Microsoft unveiled something called an agentic factory intelligence system at Hannover Messe 2026 in Germany. The idea: AI agents that help factory operators with real-time diagnostics, status checks, and guided troubleshooting when production lines underperform.
And this is not theoretical. Kruger Inc. and Nisha Metallizing Solutions are already validating the system. The agents analyze operational context, historical machine behavior, and offer immediate assistance when something goes wrong.
What I find interesting is the shift from analytics to action. Traditional industrial AI told you what was happening. This tells the operator what to do about it, and in some cases, does it directly.
Downtime in manufacturing is brutally expensive. Every minute a line is stopped costs thousands of euros. If an agent can cut diagnostic time from an hour to 5 minutes, the ROI is immediate.
And it addresses a real problem: the loss of institutional knowledge. Experienced operators who know the quirks of a particular machine are retiring. An agent trained on decades of machine behavior can preserve some of that expertise.
This is important because consumer AI has been the noisy story, but industrial AI could be the economically significant one. Factories are measurable. Uptime is measurable. Either the agents save money or they don't.
And unlike a chatbot, an agent that prevents a production halt pays for itself in a single incident.
The launch at Hannover Messe is symbolic. Germany is the heart of European manufacturing, and German industry has been struggling with high energy costs, labor shortages, and competition from China.
Industrial AI could be a genuine lifeline. If European factories can become more efficient through agentic systems, that's how they stay competitive.
And it plays to European strengths. We may not dominate consumer AI, but industrial software, precision manufacturing, automation, that's historically European territory. Siemens, Bosch, ABB, this is their arena.
Watch this space. If the Kruger and Nisha pilots deliver real numbers, expect rapid adoption across the Mittelstand.
Story 5. SK Hynix has started mass production of SOCAMM2, that stands for Small Outline Compression Attached Memory Module 2, a new memory module optimized for NVIDIA's upcoming Vera Rubin AI platform.
And the specs are genuinely impressive. 192 gigabytes of memory, built using 6th-generation 10-nanometer LPDDR5X DRAM, which is the low-power memory you usually find in your phone. They've vertically stacked these chips to create a dense, power-efficient module for AI servers.
For a long time, the AI hardware conversation was all about GPUs. But the industry has quietly figured out that memory bandwidth is often the real constraint when training and running large language models.
Exactly the problem SOCAMM2 is designed to solve. By using mobile-grade low-power memory and stacking it vertically, you get density and efficiency at the same time. Less heat, less power draw, more capacity per server.
And this lands right when NVIDIA's Vera Rubin platform is ramping up. The two are co-designed. Without SOCAMM2, Rubin doesn't hit its targets. Without Rubin, SOCAMM2 doesn't have a home.
The bottom line here is that power efficiency translates directly to cost. Data centers are limited by how much electricity they can pull from the grid. If you can do more AI per watt, you can do more AI per data center.
And for anyone running inference workloads, which is most enterprise AI use, the memory bottleneck has been real. This should help.
European AI labs, European cloud providers, European research institutions. They all depend on NVIDIA plus Korean memory. There's no European alternative at this performance tier.
And that's the sovereignty problem again. The EU Chips Act is trying to change this, but it'll take years. In the meantime, the availability of SOCAMM2 matters because it determines how much AI Europe can actually run.
Mistral, Aleph Alpha, academic supercomputing centers, all of them will be buying this stack.
And paying a premium for the privilege.
And now for our closer, which I have to admit is one of my favorite stories of the week. Mondelez, the company behind Oreo, Cadbury, Toblerone, basically the snack aisle of your supermarket, has hired a global lead for emerging commerce platforms, specifically focused on AI-driven shopping bots.
Yes, that job exists now. Their whole pitch is this thing called agentic commerce. The idea that in a few years, you won't browse Amazon or a supermarket website, you'll tell your AI assistant, "Order me snacks for the weekend," and an agent will go shop on your behalf.
And McKinsey estimates the market for agentic commerce could reach $3 to $5 trillion by 2030. That's trillion with a T.
Which explains why Mondelez wants someone whose entire job is making sure when the bot asks, "Which chocolate biscuits?" the answer is Oreo and not a competitor.
This is such a weird inversion. For 100 years, consumer marketing has been about convincing humans. Jingles, packaging, celebrity endorsements. Now Mondelez is asking, how do we make our brand appealing to an algorithm?
Which might mean structured data, API-friendly product descriptions, machine-readable nutritional info, ratings that bots can parse. Very unglamorous work compared to a Super Bowl ad.
And it raises fascinating questions. Does brand loyalty even exist when a bot is making the choice? Does packaging matter if the human never sees it before it arrives?
If agentic commerce really hits the scale McKinsey projects, we're talking about restructuring trillions in consumer spending. Retailers, brands, advertisers, even supermarkets, they all have to adapt or get bypassed.
And the power shifts to whoever controls the agent. If everyone's shopping bot runs on one AI platform, that platform becomes the world's most powerful retailer.
Mondelez has enormous European presence. If they're taking this seriously, every European consumer brand should be paying attention.
And European retailers, Carrefour, Tesco, Albert Heijn, Ruwe, need to think about whether they're the platform the agent shops on or whether they get disintermediated.
Plus, European data protection laws might actually give consumers more control over which agents can act on their behalf, which is a genuine advantage.
Honestly, the image of a bot arguing with another bot over whether to buy Oreo or a store brand, that's the future we're building.
And somewhere, a marketing executive is learning to write prompts instead of slogans.
Today, we covered the cybersecurity risks of AI agents, OpenAI's GPT-Rosalind launch amid leadership departures, AI market valuation scrutiny, the agentic factory from Accenture and Microsoft, SK Hynix's SOCAM 2 memory for NVIDIA, and Mondelez preparing for AI shopping bots.
Want to know more or react? Visit stateoftech.eu or email us at info@doorzetters.net. State of Tech, the tech world in 15 minutes.